The following is a video on ad hoc attendance recording. Primarily using ewAttendanceAdhoc, we can, for example, record ad hoc attendance. Now, what does it mean, ad hoc attendance? Well, as we can see, we have a link here called ad hoc attendance, and it brings up this particular form. Basically, what it means is that we can select any student in any configuration, in any period, over any day, and that could be individual dates, for example, so randomly selecting dates, or it could be, for example, over a date range, and we can add any particular selection of periods. In this case, let's say select all, select a particular reason, so excursion, for example, camp, select our student, and we'll select a student, an attendance group here, in which we have one student called Alice. And what this will now do is it will mark attendance from the 18th to the 24th for every period, and it will insert the reason of excursion and add the note camp. We can also select to lock the records and to override any existing locked records. So let's just go save attendance, and as we can see, it's now saved it. If we went into individual attendance to now select that particular student and see what's actually happened. So if we selected a date range and went from the 18th to the 24th, we can then see that the records have been saved. Now, once that session has actually been created, we may have discovered that we made a mistake. In other words, we didn't mean to actually mark the attendance from the 18th to the 24th, but we actually wanted to do it only from, for example, the 21st to the 24th. In this particular case, we need a mechanism to be able to go back to that particular session. And if we were to just clear selections here, we can see that there's a drop-down list here called session. And here we can select all the different sessions that have been created. We can also do the same thing through a form that's been created. And here we have a form called ad hoc session list. And if we were to fill data, and let's just select from the 17th to the 19th, we can see that at the moment we've got 2 there, and we can edit the actual session from here. So we have 2 particular mechanisms of doing that. So if we were to select this particular session, we can then see that all the parameters of that session come up, but also a button called delete session attendance records appear. And in this case, we have 2 options. One, we can delete only attendance records which have not been subsequently updated, or we can delete attendance records created in this particular session. And the difference between these two is that deleting only attendance records which have not been updated basically means that if someone else was to have changed one of those records, we only want to delete the original records that were added by this particular session, not any subsequent records. Before we do that though, let's go into the individual attendance and actually change one of them just to see how this is actually going to work. So let's change it to sport. We'll get rid of the word camp and we'll save that. So if we now went back into this and go delete records, but this time only delete the records which have not been subsequently updated. Are you sure? We go yes. Attendance records have been deleted. So if we go back to the individual record, we can see then that all the records have been removed apart from the one called sport. If we went back into that, but this time into delete session record, we select the second option, which is to delete all attendance records created in this session, and go yes. We can then see, if we went back to individual attendance, that all the records have now been deleted. So the ad hoc mechanism is really a rich way of being able to mark attendance of any particular configuration over any particular selection of days, and then the ability to then view any session lists that have been created, to edit them, but also to be able to delete any attendance that was incorrectly marked. Let's just mark one more attendance record here, and in this case let's just lock all these records. Let's do it through the individual mechanism. Let's put it as, for example, sick. So so here we have them all set to sick. Let's just lock the records, except maybe just the first couple there, and save. This time let's go back to our same session that we had before, but this time let's mark attendance, but this time without the override existing lock records button or checkbox being selected. we'll now get a message saying some records did not save as they are currently locked. Would you like to view these records? As you can see, they're the records that we just added and that we locked. So if we want to get over this particular message, we need to select overwrite locked records, and this time it would have saved. And everything should now be set to excursion camp. So let's go back to individual attendance, hit the go button, and there they are. So that's basically ad hoc attendance recording.